What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jerome. I'm here today with a review for Married to Medicine. This is season 6, episode number 8, and this episode was titled "Room Without a View." This is a deep ass episode. When I read the title, I thought this was gonna have a little bit. I thought this episode was the title of this episode was shady towards Toya because that is a house with a room without a view in it, but it actually had nothing to do with Toya. The episode centered heavily around Heavenly. So without further ado, I'm gonna get it started with the video. And I'm gonna start with the small stuff first, and then I'm gonna work my way down to the heavy stuff in the episode. Alright, so this episode it actually started out with Toya and Eugene, who were going to look at the home that they're having built, which I still think is really ridiculously stupid. Because you just, like I said last week, and I've been saying that you just got out of debt with the IRS, so why not save up some money, and then once you got enough money saved to the point where you don't have to worry about anything in your life, then go get your forever home. But whatever. So they are walking around the house. They're talking about where the shower is gonna be, where the closet is gonna be, where everything's gonna be basically, and Dr. Eugene is asking Toya, has she told all the ladies about the house and all that kind of stuff. Toya, being shady again, says that she told the people who matter, which doesn't include Contessa and I would guess Quad at the same time. And my whole thing with this whole Contessa thing is it makes no sense because you're upset because of what? Because this woman did not come to a party that you had because her father was sick and all that kind of stuff. Like, Toya has her priorities all the way screwed up when it comes to a lot of things in life. Like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have another party again and you can invite her to that one, and if she makes it to that one, cool. And it's not like she didn't it's not like she didn't show up and Dr. Scott didn't show up. Dr. Scott did show up to the party and told you what was going on with Dr. Contessa and why Dr. Contessa didn't come to the party and all that kind of stuff. And then Toya wants to talk about Quad and Dr. Gregory and all that kind of stuff, and how she is the one that is trying to get the guys to reach out to Dr. Gregory and bring Dr. Gregory back into the fold and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, she's talking about how Quad is almost at the end of her marriage and all that kind of stuff. Bitch, didn't get it. How she's almost at the end of her marriage and all that kind of stuff. I think at this point, it's beating a dead horse with a stick. Quad does not want to be with Dr. Gregory. So you guys have to figure out a way to make your friendship dynamic work. I know it's going to be difficult because Dr. Eugene is friends with Greg, and Toya, I guess she's still friends with Quad. I'm not sure, but I know that would make things just a little bit difficult for them. And then Eugene is telling Toya about when they had the guys' night and how Curtis was really the one being the voice of reason when it came down to Gregory and all that kind of stuff. And then he's telling how Gregory says that when it comes down to his marriage with Quad, he's the one that's doing counseling. He's trying to set up couple strips and all that kind of stuff, but she's not receptive to it. Whereas Toya was thinking about, well, Quad is saying that she's the one that's doing everything, but Gregory is not receptive. And I'm more inclined to believe Dr. Gregory than I am to believe Quad. I hate to say that, but just looking at how how Quad has been going throughout this whole season so far, I'm more inclined to believe Dr. Gregory over her because she's not wanting to film with the girls, and and she's filming more heavily with not the Married to Medicine girls, but the what's that show? Sister Circle Live girls. So like I said, I'm more inclined to believe Dr. Gregory over Quad. And when it comes down to believing him, it's like 50 to 20% that I believe him. I don't believe him completely. Like, I don't know, but I do believe him a little bit more than I believe Quad. And then we'll move over to Quad. So Quad is meeting up with some friends of hers. I didn't take down their names and all that kind of stuff. And she's basically saying how things are going from bad to worse between her and Gregory and all that kind of stuff. And there's just so much tension between those two. And my whole thing is, you can't expect things to go from bad to worse if you're not even putting in any effort to try to make things go in a different direction. Of course they're going to go from bad to worse if you're not actually putting in any effort to make your marriage work and all that kind of stuff. And you know, she says that she knows that a marriage is not always going to be 100% good, which that is true. Marriages are a work that you have, it's something that you have to work toward every day when you wake up. But like I said, I don't know how much effort she's actually putting into this marriage at this point, because I just don't feel like she's 100% invested in it at this point. I think she's 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door. So, you know, you get what you give. If you don't put anything into it, you can't expect anything back from it. So I don't pretend to know what's going on in their marriage, but just as a viewer looking at the show, it doesn't look like Quad is trying to put a whole lot into this marriage. I think she's ready to throw in a towel and be done with her marriage at this point. So then her friend asked her, did Dr. Gregory apologize for all the stuff that's going on in the blogs? And Quad says no, that he did not apologize to her, that basically it's him making it seem like it's all her fault that he did what he did. And I don't agree with, you know, because when Dr. Gregory was talking about it last week, about him not getting what he needs at home, I don't agree with that. Like, that does not give you a reason to go out and cheat on your wife or be in a room with a girl that's not your wife. So I cannot give him credit for that. You know, I think at some point they should have sat down, had a conversation with each other, and talked about what was going on in their marriage. Which the biggest thing that's going on with their marriage, and has been a big issue since the day that we first met them on this show, is the fact that Quad does not want kids. He does. And I think that has been, you know, the thing that's been making them two, you know, butt heads and everything, is the fact that them not want, you know, one wants kids, the other one doesn't, because Quad is, you know, happy with her dogs and all that kind of stuff, whereas Gregory does not feel like those dogs are kids and all that kind of stuff. So I think that they should have, even before they got married, because she said that they've been together for 10 years and they've been married for 6 years or so, like that. And I'm wondering to myself, did they ever really just sit down and have a conversation with each other before they got married about what it is that they each wanted out of the marriage? Like, I know you have to see a marriage counselor before you get married and all that kind of stuff. So what did the marriage counselor say to them and what they talk about? Because these two are on completely different pages. And it's not even they on completely different pages. They're in two separate books. Like, Dr. Gregory is in this book and Quad is in this book, and on two opposite shelves of each other. So when it comes down to those two, I never really understand that. And then, you know, one of the friends, she tells Quad that maybe they need to spend some time apart from each other. If this brings them back together, that's good. If it separates them, then it wasn't really, you know, that time apart was meant for them to be separated. And I actually 100% agree with what her friend said to her. Take that advice. Separate from each other. If, you know, if the fates bring you two back together, that's perfect, and that's what, you know, you just need a space from each other. And if the space that you two do get takes you apart, then maybe you two have grown, you know, apart from each other. So there's nothing wrong with taking space. Like I said, it can bring you back together, or it can take you away from each other. At this point, it looks like it's taking them away from each other because they are going through the process of divorce. All right, and then we have Mariah. She and Dr. Aiden are going out to dinner with their daughter, Lauren. So Lauren basically wants to talk to them about the birds and the bees and all that kind of stuff. So basically what it is Dr. Aiden and Mariah both, with her going to high school, that they know that there are going to be boys around and all that kind of stuff. But what it is that they want from Lauren is to focus heavily on school and put boys second, which I absolutely agree with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a virgin and all that kind of stuff in high school. Don't, you know, don't fall pressure to the peer pressure, because, you know, once you get to high school, your little friends are having sex with other people, and they're going to want to they'll try to pressure you, be like, oh, you're not cool if you're not having sex with somebody. There's nothing wrong with waiting to have sex. Like, absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know, because even when I was in high school, all my friends having sex, and when they were having sex, I kind of wasn't having I wasn't having sex at that time. I was lying, saying that I was, and there's nothing wrong with doing that either. Lie and say that you are, but, you know, a few years later I started doing it. And then I do have one friend who waited until we were out of high school to have sex. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with, not having sex in high school. Nothing wrong with not having a boyfriend or a girlfriend in high school. So, like her dad said, focus on school, focus on your academics. And once, you get so far in your life, then you can get to that point where, you're ready. You're like, if I'm ready, I'm ready. So absolutely nothing wrong with waiting. And Dr. Aiden is talking about how in his culture that they don't talk about the birds and the bees. And the main reason why I think they don't talk about the birds and the bees is because in his culture they already have arranged marriages set up for him. And I think he's the only one in his family that did not have an arranged marriage, obviously. So I think that's the big reason why. And then Mariah and them talk about his ex girlfriend that he had before her, who she said looked like Heavenly. And I'm like, why do you have to bring this up that the girl looked like Heavenly? But whatever. All right, and then we are going to move over to the more heavier side of this episode, which started with Dr. Contessa. So Dr. Contessa, she was in her kitchen. She was, this is the day of her surgery, and keep things running smoothly so that, it doesn't cause any confusion between her kids and all that kind of stuff. She's cooking dinner. I mean, not dinner, but she's cooking breakfast for them. And she is afraid of of the surgery and all that kind of stuff, which rightfully so. When you go into surgery, you are going to be a little bit afraid. So she did talk to her kids about the surgery, but when she talked to her kids about the surgery, she didn't want to talk to them too much about it because they are young kids, and I did respect her. I did like the fact that she didn't go so heavily and so deep into the surgery. She just kind of she kind of told them a little bit of stuff that mom is going into the doctor for an appointment, and I might not be here when you get out of school, and be nice for aunt whoever, she said. So I did like that because you don't want to send your kids to school, and they're young kids at that, and then they'll be afraid that, oh, my mom is going into surgery and I'm not sure if my mom is going to come out of surgery. So I did 100% like that whole scene that she did with her kids. That was cute. And so she goes to drop the kids off at school, and when Dr. Scott gets out the car to take the kids up to the school, her dad calls her, and her dad was calling her to check on her just to make sure that she was okay. And I guess when her talking to her dad, that put her a little bit more at ease about this surgery than she already was. And then Dr. Scott comes back to the car, and she's basically telling Dr. Scott that she talked to her dad, and like I just said, he put her at ease because she was kind of nervous and all that kind of stuff, which is an elective surgery, but she said that this is a surgery that she feels that she needs to do for herself. And I can 100% respect her for saying that. If it's something that you feel that you need to do for yourself, by all means, get it done. So while they're on their way to the hospital, she does get a text from Dr. Jackie, and Dr. Jackie just sending her love and support. And she tells Dr. Scott to tell her thank you. And what happened is she talked to Dr. Jackie 3 weeks prior to this, and Dr. Jackie was telling her the same thing, that it's an elective surgery, it's not something that's recommended and all that kind of stuff. But with Dr. Jackie being a cancer survivor and all that kind of stuff, she absolutely understands why she's doing this, and just knowing what she went through with her mother. So Dr. Jackie has been a supportive friend to her at this point, and I actually really did like that scene. And then the last thing for Dr. Contessa is, she's at the hospital. They're trying to go over the pre-op stuff, trying to make sure she's not pregnant and all that kind of stuff. And, Dr. Scott is visibly nervous about this because, although this, is something that is elective, you still have your risk when it comes to any kind of surgery. So Dr. Scott is just nervous because being a doctor and all that kind of stuff, he knows the risk and all that kind of stuff. So, hopefully, which we pretty much know, she came out of this scot-free. But, I can't help but, have a deep respect for Dr. Contessa because, she knows what she wanted to do and she didn't waver from it. And everybody in her corner was 100% supportive of her. So I really did like that, Like I said, if it's something that she felt she needed to do to, prolong her life, minimize her risk and all that kind of stuff, I can't help but to have the utmost respect for her for that. All right, so now we are going to get down to the bulk of this episode. So you got, and when Toya called, because Toya called Heavenly, Simone, and Jackie, when they were sitting down And I'm like, you guys are in Miami. The first thing that came to my mind was the Golden Girls. And then Toya said it, that Mariah calls them the Golden Girls because they're having lunch with each other. And, they're talking about the Fab Five breaking up and all that kind of, being divided and all that kind of stuff. And, they talk about Quad. And, Dr. Jackie, I get Dr. Jackie a whole lot because Dr. Jackie was in the same position that Quad is in this season. Dr. Jackie had her whole shit last season with Curtis cheating on her, and now Quad is in that same situation. And like I said in a few reviews ago, I find it quite odd with Quad. When Lisa Nicole was on this show, Quad could always bring up Lisa Nicole's marriage, but now that your marriage is in question and all that kind of stuff, you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to film with these girls and all that kind of stuff. But you were there for Jackie last season, and now this season that you're going through it, you want to keep your distance from them. And I get where Jackie's coming from. She's different. Like last year, she was leaning on the girls, and this season, Quad is not leaning on the girls. She's, distancing herself from the girls. So I see both sides of it, and I'm not going to say that Quad is wrong for what she's doing, but it's just kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. Like, I'm not going to fault her for it, but it's kind of like, it's a double standard. Like, you wanted Jackie to open, Jackie opened up to you guys last season, but now, you're going through this and you don't want to open up. And then you talk shit about Lisa Nicole, but, it's just different. So then Heavenly is talking about how, they all have some things that they need to work on and how they're going to go into Little Havana. So then they do go to Little Havana and they do some sightseeing and all that kind of stuff. And they go to this tobacco shop where they are rolling the tobacco. And, they bought, Heavenly smoked them a cigar. Not tobacco, they're rolling the cigars. Heavily smokes one, and Simone's trying to find something for Cecil. So that was a cute little. All right, so now we're gonna move over to where it starts to get a little bit deep in the episode. So the girls are Heavily telling the girls that they are gonna go to her childhood home, and basically Heavily hasn't been to that house in about 20 years and all that kind of stuff. And then I think it was Simone who asked Heavenly, does she have any good memories from there? And she says not really. She has some good memories, but she mostly has bad memories and all that kind of stuff. Because she said that she wasn't allowed to go outside, but her sister was. And, she's talking about her dad and how he was gone for so long. But then when he did come back with his military values and all that kind of stuff, he wanted them to go to sleep by a certain time and all that kind of stuff and be up by a certain time. And basically they rebelled against that. And this is starting to show a little bit of a different side to Heavenly, because I really did feel bad for her. Because, listen to that, her talking about how her mom allowed her sister to go outside because, her mom felt differently about her sister, and how she told Heavenly that she was destined for greatness and she was going to be a doctor and all this kind of stuff. I really felt bad because now you can see why Heavenly is the way she is. Because she was stifled as a child. She wasn't allowed to do the things that normal kids do. Now, there's nothing wrong with parents telling your kids, oh, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to be... Because the goal with most parents is that they want the kids to be better than what they did. Because that was the one thing that my mom always instilled in me. My mom never wanted me to go through the things that she went through. She wanted me to do better than what she did. So she always told me stay in school, get good grades. She advocated for me going to college, even though when I graduated high school at 17 years old. And, we actually had a conversation the day after my graduation, literally the day after my graduation. And she said, so Jerome, what you plan on doing? I said, I just graduated yesterday and it's the summer and my birthday is in July. And I'm like, shit, I just want to sleep all day and, not have a care in the world. Like, I've been in school for years and now I just want to have fun. Like, shit, let me have fun. So, she let me go to my 18th birthday, which I said is it's in July. So then at the end, after my birthday, she waited 2 weeks later, because it was my birthday is the middle of July, July 16th. So she waited to almost the end of July to come to me once again. She said, so what's your plan? I said, I don't have a plan. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to school because shit, I just graduated high school. Why do I want to go back to school? So she gave me an ultimatum. I had two options. Option number one, go to school. I'm like, well, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to do that. She said option number 2, you can get a full-time job. It helped me pay some of these bills. I'm like, you know what? Option number 2 is not for me. I'm gonna go to school. And the thing was, she knew what I really wanted to do with my life. She knows that I'm a lover of music. She knows that she was like, I know you want to work on your music. I know you want to try to do acting and all that kind of stuff. But you have to have something else in case that never comes to fruition. And I do thank my mom so much for that, because if I hadn't just did what I really wanted to do, who knows where I would be at today. So that's so in a nutshell to say, Heavenly's mom stifled her because, like I said, she wasn't allowed to go outside. That's a vital part of kids growing up. Let them go outside. Let them have fun. Let them interact with other kids. And that's why Heavenly, especially when it comes down to Heavenly's arguments, I see why now she says "yo mama" so much, because she never got the chance as a kid to say that to another child, because that was always the go-to when you get into an argument with somebody. Oh, your mama fat, your mama this, your mama that, your mama. So that's why as an adult, Heavenly says your mama. And I'm not condoning what Heavenly does, but it just makes a little bit more sense about why she does what she does. Okay, so then she talks about she left the house at 17, and when she left the house at 17, she never really went back there. So then they do pull up to the house that Heavenly lived in, and the guy Louis, he lets them in, and they start to walk around and all that kind of stuff, and Heavenly says it looks completely different from when she was there. And then she takes them to her bedroom that she had, and she said, she didn't have a window, no sunlight, no nothing. I felt really bad for her. I'm like, God, like, that's horrible. And then she says that how at night they weren't allowed to close their doors and they couldn't turn their lights off. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy to think about that. And I actually tweeted this. I feel like with her mother, and I don't want to disrespect her at all, but what I tweeted was, maybe at that stage maybe her mom had them at a young age. I don't know. But from what it sounds like to me, it sounds like her mom was not prepared or equipped to be the best mother that she could to her kids. I think she thought she did what she could. I think she thought she was doing the best that she could for her kids. But at the same token, she stifled Heavenly, and she treated the other daughter better. And I don't know if she really treated the other daughter better, because Heavenly, and I'm not saying that a degree makes you a good person or not, but Heavenly has a degree. Her sister doesn't. And it's just showing that, she treated one child better than the, and I can't really say she treated one child better than the other. She treated one child semi-well, and she treated the other one semi-bad. And, so like I said, I just don't feel like her mother had the proper tools to be a good mother to both Heavenly and her sister and all that kind of stuff. And, Heavenly's talking about she doesn't really know the neighborhood, nor did she have any friends. She's talking about how she was fat and all that kind of stuff. And maybe the reason why she was fat was because she never went outside. Like I said, I just really felt bad. And then when they were walking around the house, they went to this one room that was closed. And I think she said that was her sister's room. And then she also said that her dad died in that room. So then Heavenly has to go outside because, she's starting to break down and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I really just felt bad for Heavenly. And, she says that when her dad died, her mom called her, and she was in her freshman year of dental school. And, her mom called her and told her that her dad died, and he actually died during the night. So when her mom woke up the next morning, she went into the room, and there her dad was dead. And she called Heavenly, and Heavenly said that she was studying for her final exam. And she told her mom something. And, her mom was like, well, you don't really have to come if you don't want to. And Heavenly wasn't saying that she didn't want to come. What she was saying was she was studying for her test, and I think once she finished her test, then she would come. But she says that she did, finish her test and she went home. But that was literally the last time that she went back to her home and all that kind of stuff. And they sat outside of the car because Jackie asked her, did she want to go back in and pray? And Heavenly said, no, I don't want to go back in there. So they did pray in the car. And like I said, I just really felt bad for Heavenly, and this actually shows us a different side of Heavenly. And Heavenly is a smart person, but I think her brain is still sometimes stuck in that 7-year-old girl's body. That's just how I feel. But if anybody feels differently than that, leave your comments and tell me how you feel about it, and we'll talk about it. And then lastly, Heavenly and Simone and Jackie are meeting up with some friends of Heavenly's from when she was in high school and all that kind of stuff. So they did show some photos of Heavenly from high school, and they just talk about the past, And Jackie asked the question, did Heavenly always have a sharp tongue? And the friend said, yeah, she always had a sharp tongue. Basically, that Heavenly just was the type of person who tells the truth and is always honest with them and all that kind of stuff. And she asked that set of friends, do they like the person that she is? And they say, yeah, that they like who she is. And actually, both sets of friends agree that they like who Heavenly is as a person. So it's not that Heavenly is a bad person. It's sometimes her approach is so horrible that it makes her come off as a bad person. But that was Marriage Medicine. Like the video, leave your comments and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you later.